Hello and welcome. Today I'm playing a viewer, so it looks like e4, c5, the Sicilian. So let's see how he continues here. All right, the accelerated dragon variation. All right, let's see. We'll set up a Maroczy bind type structure. All right. Hmm. We'll go there and see what he decides to do next. All right, so now we can castle. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have this attack building up here. Do we retreat or do we move forward and attack that queen? Let's see here. Or do we just jump up here and attack the queen? Hmm. All right, I'll just go there, see what he does. All right, so now he's attacking that. Do we go here, lining up on his queen? Or did I make a mistake there? All right, well, let's go after that. And now we'll go there. All right, now this is under attack. So do I centralize this? Maybe I go there and protect it. And my bishop is a little bit more in the center now, kind of aiming at his king side. All right, so now what? Do we push this forward now? All right. Or I guess we could try that. Just prevent any problems of him lining up there. All right. Now what do we want to do? Could bring our rook to the center here. Or should we just push forward? Let's attack his king side. All right. Okay, so if we go there, let's try that. And maybe go there. And now I think we have 3 attackers and he only has 2 defenders. So we'll do that. All right, now we can pick off his defensive bishop there. And where do we want this piece? So we can double up our rooks. Guess we might as well go there. And just double our rooks up. All right, now what? Do we just march forward here? Attack this pawn? And that also protects our diagonal here that we have on our king. But we're threatening this pawn as well. All right, so what should we try and do next? We have him kind of tied up, but if we push this pawn, okay, we can't do that at the moment, but we're attacking this. So he probably needs to bring his rook back over here and protect this pawn. But we're attacking this pawn as well. So, I mean, I guess we could go ahead and pick that pawn off. All right. Guess we might as well go after that. Oh, but then he gets this. All right, we'll go after that and then pick this off. Let's see. Oh, well, we can't pick that off. All right, so do we go here attacking this? I would say that's probably best, so we'll do that. Attacking. Let's see. So now we're threatening to pick this off. Well, no, because he's just protected there. So I don't know, maybe it would have been a better move to go ahead and try and attack the rook or something, or excuse me, use the rook to attack his queen. But we're ahead by a pawn. His pawns are kind of broken up. Okay, so my opponent is thinking here. Now, if he captures here and I go up here, he could check me. I could block. All right, then he'll have to move his queen. All right, well, he's taking time to think on this one. And maybe his connection is a little bit bad. No, it says good connection. All right, what will he do next here? And I don't know, maybe I need to bring my queen down here. That way I can threaten to bring it back up here and check his king. Anyway, kind of tricky stuff here. Okay, I'm not sure. My opponent is taking quite a bit here. He's usually a speedy player, so I'm thinking maybe there's an issue with the connection, maybe. All right, what can he do? He could just take here. Then I recapture. Then his queen could come down and check maybe, but then I could just block. So maybe he'll ignore this, push this pawn to try and activate this other rook. So if he pushes this pawn, I capture. Then what? If he pushes that pawn, I capture. He captures with what? His queen, probably, because if he captures with the rook, it would be blocking. Oh, wait. See, this is getting tricky now. If he pushes this pawn and I capture, does he capture with the queen or the rook? Either way, if he captures here, well, if he captures with the rook, it blocks the queen protecting here. So then, do we capture? King captures. Then we capture again with the queen checking. Then, then what does he do? Move up here to G8. But then, our queen would be able to line out or go over here and check him. All right. Well, now it says he's disconnected and will auto resign in a minute and a half. So maybe he had a bad connection. I'm not sure what happened here. All right, well, I'll wait and see if he tries to reconnect. So maybe he had some kind of problems here. Yeah, maybe he had a bad connection. All right, so what should he do here? He can't check me. I have two pieces attacking here, but he does too, this X-ray through my piece. So I can't really capture this pawn because this rook is protecting the pawn, along with the queen. I could, capture. His king goes here. If I capture and his king recaptures, well, it's his turn, so it depends what he does. But, what other options do we have here? If he, all right, so I don't know what happened there. Maybe he had a bad connection and couldn't reconnect. I'm not sure. All right, well, we'll do a game review and see, the computer will tell us how the game could have played out. All right, game review here. All right, looks like I played at 83.2 versus their 80.2. Oh, but something happened. I made a mistake earlier. I think I remember at some point that I thought I made a mistake and he overlooked it, so that's probably it there. So let's take a look. All right. Well, before we do, let's see. I had one inaccuracy. My opponent had three. I had two mistakes. They had two mistakes. We each had one miss. All right. Let's take a look. So this was I believe the accelerated dragon Maroczy bind formation, where you set up the C4, the pawn on C4 and E4, and it kind of prevents black from pushing this D pawn to D5. And a lot of times in the Sicilian defense, they'll want to push that pawn forward to free up their position a little bit. All right, so we continue on with this queen to B6 move. And here, I was kind of wondering, first, before I do the analysis, we'll just blast through the game review here. All right, so that was a mistake there. All right. We have a mistake. Then that puts the game in black's favor. All right, so best would have been to capture this pawn. All right. And now the the bishop has a discovered attack on the queen, so the queen would recapture. Okay, so we'll look at that in the analysis. Let's see what happened next. So now that was the mistake. And here it says you permitted the opponent to win a pawn through a discovered attack. Oh, yeah, right here. The knight could have just captured this pawn attacking my queen. And then if I capture him back, well then, let's see. We have an attack. Maybe the queen comes down and attacks. All right, so my opponent missed out on that. And I made a little mistake there. Best would have been what? To capture with the queen. Oh, but then you give up a pawn down here, I guess. Man, yeah, so definitely need to look at that in the analysis. So on to the rest of the game. So then here, looks like I slowly retook the lead. And then this capture here. And what do we have here? So this is an inaccuracy. White is still ahead, and this is where it ended. So it looks like it says you had a pretty competitive game there. Your opponent played better than you in the opening, but you were a cut above your opponent in the middle game. So 1850 versus their 1750, and then 91.9 versus 97.7. So they did a good job in the opening, and I misplayed that a little bit. Middle game, 78.4 versus their 69.9. So they had a little trouble in the middle game, I guess. All right, so back to the beginning. We'll look at a little bit of the analysis. So e4, c5. The Sicilian defense, where black counterattacks with c5 here, and this prevents you. Well, you can push this d pawn, but then they'll capture the more valuable central pawn with their flank pawn, and then usually white will play knight to f3, which is what I did here. Oh, let me turn on this analysis. Okay, so, and the computer recommends the top move here is knight to f3. So I played that, and now they play knight to c6, a book move, helping control this d4 square. And now I push the pawn. They capture. Now let's go back here. The computer recommends knight to c3, c3, bishop to b5, a bunch of other different moves. But we have d4, capture, capture. So now white has a centralized knight and a central pawn versus black's, just having this knight developed here. And then this, the accelerated dragon variation. So now I play c4, the Maroczy bind, and what did the computer recommend here? It looks like c4 was the top recommendation. So what this does is try and control d5 once again here, and prevent black from pushing this pawn forward, or at least discourages it. So now we have the bishop continuing to develop here. Both pieces are pressuring my knight, so I have to defend that knight. Either that or just retreat the knight to f3, but it looks like bishop to e3 is the best move to develop, defend the knight. And now something that's a little tricky is queen to b5, putting a third attacker on the knight, and when the queen develops here to b6, adds pressure to the knight and attacks this pawn. But I guess I could retreat that knight, or move it forward according to the computer. That would be best up here. And then the bishop would attack the queen. But then we have a check here. So I don't know. I'll take a quick look at that. So in the game, what did my opponent play? What did my opponent play? So d6. So he just played d6 to be able to develop his bishop, and knight to f6 is a recommended move. And then instead of pushing your pawn, which could just be captured, it looks like knight to c3 would be played to defend. But let's take a look at this. This looks kind of tricky. So here, knight to b3 is even recommended instead of pushing forward, because that would prevent a check by the queen. Let's see. So if we went forward, now it's recommending knight to b3. You'd have this check, and then we would end up retreating back and blocking. Okay. All right. Interesting stuff, I guess. But if we go back, instead of knight to b5, and look at the knight to b3 move, maybe that's safer. So knight to b3 just blocks. The queen can't check and get the initiative there. So well, I guess you can check here. Queen to b4. And now what does it recommend? Bishop to d2, chasing that queen. Let me go back here. Now, what's to stop the bishop from just... Oh, man. Yeah, okay, I don't know if I like this either. We'll have to take a look at the bishop capturing on b2, and then your rook is trapped. Okay, well let's go back here. If we retreat that way, okay, no, the queen is under attack, so the queen would have to move. We have b4 check. Now this is still under attack, so we have this move attacking the queen. Queen moves up to d6. Oh yeah, this is some tricky stuff here. And now the knight develops. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to dig too deep into that. That's just an interesting line. In the game, what did we have here? After bishop to e3, we had d6, and then knight to c3. So these are all book moves. Now the knight moves up here. It looks like bishop to e2 is the best move, which is what we played. They follow up with what here? Castling, which is second best. But all of this is still book moves. Now we should go ahead and castle. And then knight or bishop to d7. It recommends that. Bishop to d7. Just developing the bishop off the back rank. But instead, they played that move, queen to b6. And it says this is still a good move. All right, so now the best thing to do is capture that knight. Second best is just retreating the knight back. So that is the next option. All right. But we'll take a look at what I should have done. So capture. The queen's under attack, so the queen would have to capture. Now we have two pieces targeting this pawn on e4, and it's only protected by the knight. So the best move, interesting. Second best is queen to c2 or f3, which is probably what I would have played as f3 here. But they're saying queen to d3 is a good possibility. Now, yeah, f3 is what they're recommending. So if we go back, we'll look at f3. Now it's saying that's best, which just fortifies this pawn, keeps the knight out of g4 in case you want to move your bishop. And now the recommendation is this move, piling up on the c pawn. And then, oh, interesting. Knight to d5 is the best move here. So attacking this knight, if the knight is captured, you can just capture towards the center and have a strong pawn here. They recommend capturing, well, multiple moves here. So let's see. Capture with the bishop. I don't know if you'd want to give up your bishop pair. Queen to d7. Rook at f to e8. Anyway, you get the idea. So let's go back to the game. So after we both castled and my opponent brings the queen out, adding pressure on the knight and this pawn in the game, I just played queen to d2, which was a mistake. So yeah, here I should have captured that knight because now my opponent missed. Well, okay, hold on. It says that's the best move. So let's just double check here. All right. the best move is to capture on e4. Second best is on d4. But either way, well, maybe not either way. So maybe knight captures here is better. So let's take a look at that. Capture. Still says knight captures on d4 is the best. Okay, so here, no way. It says your queen is under attack, and it says to go ahead and still capture. Okay, because their queen would be under attack as well. So here we have a crazy variation. So let's see, knight captures on e4. So we could just capture there. But the best thing to do is that, attacking their queen. Then the queen captures here, getting out of that attack. Then we capture on e4. Queen captures on e4. And now, rook at a to c1. All right. And what do we have next? So black, has an advantage here, and they're ahead a pawn, I believe. Yes, they're ahead a pawn. So anyway, this is how the game could have turned out. Now it recommends this move, getting ready to pick that off. So b3, and then bishop to d7. Getting ready to activate this bishop down towards my king side. All right, so I would have been in trouble there if my opponent found those moves. But this is pretty tricky. That's why I used to play the Sicilian, but I don't know, the Sicilian defense can have all kinds of tricky, crazy variations depending on what you play. All right, so in the game we had a capture. I captured attacking the queen, but what would have been better here? So that is a mistake. So instead, I should have captured with my queen this way, but then my opponent grabs a pawn, and now we have what? Queen to d3, or rook at a to b1. We could just attack the queen. All right, let's say we attack the queen. Then what do? The queen has to go here. Although the queen could have, I don't think the queen would want to go there. All right, and be trapped, I think. All right, so queen to d3 is the best move now. All right. Do we just keep attacking the queen like this? Rook to b3 is the third best move, but looks like queen to d3 is better. Okay, anyway, back to the game. Bishop captures, attacking the queen. Looks like my opponent missed out. Better would have been, excuse me, capturing here. Then our best option is to recapture. Then you have, oh, actually, it's saying to take the queen there. Well, that's interesting. All right. I think either way, black would have the advantage. So if we took the queen like that, they would take our queen. They're attacking a rook now. So rook at f to d1, attacking their knight. Knight takes a pawn. We capture. Let's see. They capture here. capture, and then capture. They do have doubled pawns here, but they're ahead by what, 2 pawns? Ooh. Now it says we should go rook to e1. But anyway, black would have been ahead there. So in the game, this is a mistake. They didn't capitalize. They retreated their queen. So now we move here. Best move now. So now white has the advantage again. All right, so this is played h5, an inaccuracy. Better would have been queen to a5, kind of pinning that knight to my queen. So now we jump up into the position, although h3 is what the computer prefers. All right, queen moving over here. All right, because the knight was attacking. So and that's the best move. All right, now should we start capturing here? Yeah, it looks like bishop captures is best. What did I play? Knight captures, second best. So we go ahead and capture. Now it looks like capturing with the bishop is best. But my opponent didn't want to trade pieces, so he breaks his pawns apart, which would have happened anyway, because then I would have, if he captured with the bishop, I would have captured again, and the pawns would end up being broken, but we wouldn't have the bishops on the board. So now, queen to c3 is a good move, which it looks like that's what I ended up playing. But now it's saying bishop to e3 would have been better. Oh, yeah, threatening to trade that bishop out of there. All right, so the queen protects this pawn that's under attack. That's an inaccuracy. It looks like it would have been better to counterattack over here on this pawn. So now bishop to d3, but here the computer's saying the rook should have backed that pawn up. The king moves off of the diagonal here, but I guess this bishop is lined up with the king now. All right, well, not the diagonal. The king just moves over here, but it looks like a computer prefers bishop to d7. Okay, moving on. We have b3. Bishop to d7. Let's see, bishop to d7. All right, so that's what I played next, and that's the third best move. Or sorry, that's what black played next, was bishop to d7, but it looks like b6 is recommended, which kind of blunts the scope of the bishop and lets you reposition your bishop here on b7, lining up on this pawn and aiming at the king side. Although, maybe I would have played f3 then, but I guess at some point, well, they can't push this pawn immediately because of the king and this bishop lined up on it. So anyway, bishop to d7, we start pushing forward here, but maybe that is too ambitious. Let's see. Well, that's the second best move by just and they're pretty close. Other move would have been lining up on the queen with your rook. So we push forward. Bishop repositions here, lining up on this pawn. So now a4 is given as the best move, followed by f5. Okay, what did we play? I probably just defended this pawn. Let's see. No, I played f5, attacking the queen. So we attack the queen. Now it wants us to bring the rook over and line up on that queen. Queen to d7 was the second best move. Queen to e7 is what the computer preferred. So queen to e7, and then a4 or rook at c to e1. Line up on that queen. That's probably what I would play there. You know, yeah, probably leave this rook lined up here and then aim right here. All right, so in the game, queen moved to d7. We capture. This is a miss. We had a better move here. Oh, the threat to trap the bishop. All right. Well, I mean, although he could just push this and then retreat, but it gives us more space on the queen side. But I don't know. I was trying to break up the king's defenses a little bit. Let's see. So if I go back, the best move. Well, they mentioned this b4 move. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, once again, here it says b4. So that move, threatening to trap the bishop. And, it doesn't even give this move, b6, to make an escape for your bishop. It recommends rook at a to e8. Well, that's kind of tricky. I mean, why wouldn't you just play that? Because, let's see, we capture here. They're forced to capture. Queen captures. Queen to d8. And here, I don't know, do we just break this open first? Or retreat back to queen to d4 is the best move. Okay, back to the game. My opponent moved his queen. I tried to break open the king side, but that wasn't the best path forward. White still has a lead, but not as much. Capture, that just helped undouble his pawns. Oh, and now, well, I can still capture here. So that's the second best move, what I played. Now it's saying it's the best. So, oh man. They want the rook capture there. Ooh, which would keep the bishop and pin the rook. Oh man, yeah, okay, that would be a good move. So let's take a look at that. So what should I have done? What is best? Just develop the other rook. So now, once we capture that, they should capture with the rook, forcing us to capture with our rook. Then they pile up here, and oh man, e5 is our best move. I might have played this, doubled my rooks here, but it says that is the best move. I mean, what if they just capture that? Well, then d takes e5, then you want to go bishop takes g6. Oh, with check. So there's this check here, which could cause problems. I mean, I guess we'll have to take a look at that. You'd think they would maybe try something like that. And then, but that allows this capture with check. And then what do we have? King to g8. Oh, but that allows rook to get out of it here with capturing the other rook with check. Okay. But they still have the strong bishop pair, but his king is wide open. Okay, so if we go back and look at the recommended move, so here recommends that. then capture, and now queen to g4 threatening a mate over here. So yeah, you see how tricky these lines can get in the Sicilian here. All right, back to the game. We had rook to f7, a mistake. So now I get rid of his defending bishop there. The rook captures, and now, oh, it looks like it would have been better to capture over here. All right. Well, now I play this move, rook to f6, and what does it say about that? It says that's still an excellent move, but queen to d4 immediately would have been better. So now, here's an inaccuracy. Rook to f7 would have been better, challenging this open f file, because now we've doubled our rooks on it. Once again, the queen to d4 move, the computer likes that, which controls this diagonal leading to your king. All right, and it puts pressure on this pawn. Oh yeah, because if we went there now, how does he protect this pawn? Yeah, if we went there immediately, that pawn, what would he do? Oh man. Yeah, that pawn would be under attack. Okay, so he goes there. A6 is preferred by the computer, and finally we play this move. But now he can play rook to d8 and just protect it. Okay. So now we capture this pawn, which is best. It looks like here we should just have the bishop capturing over there, which is what happened in the game. So we capture, the queen comes down, and now the best move here is to triple on the f file with the queen dropping back to f2 here. But in the game, or second best, moving here, attacking the queen on f4. Queen to b6, putting pressure on this pawn. All right, so the number one move, queen to f2, where does that lead? Well, then we have rook to e7, h3, making a little escape hole for our king, and d5, trying to trade off pawns. Because my opponent's behind in material, so you want to trade off pawns when you're behind in material and avoid piece exchanges. All right, now rook to f4. Rook to f4. All right, so that's the best move, to attack the queen first. You know, then the queen moves, then you centralize here with your queen. All right, well, in the game, what actually happened? Here, let me go back. Where were we? Okay, we exchanged bishops in the middle. I bring my rook up. That was an inaccuracy. Better to retreat my queen. And at this point, my opponent, I don't know if he had internet issues and the internet went out or what happened, but I waited for my opponent and they didn't come back, and so the game expired. You know, let's see how the game may have continued. So rook to d7 is the best move. And then our best option is to attack the queen. So let's take a look. Oh, now the computer's saying d5 should be played. So that would allow us to capture. Queen moves out of this diagonal. Oh, checking us. So we got checked. So our king has to move. Now we have a capture. Recapture. Capture. Capture with check. And how may this continue? Let's see. Queen to g7. But it looks like we would just be ahead 2 pawns here in the end game. And that would be pretty tough to stop these outside passed pawns here. Here we could just capture the queen. So I don't know if we did that. Now it says that's best. The king would. So the king is cut off, and we have 2 passed pawns getting ready to move up the board here. So let's see. Rook to c1 is recommended. But c5 also, which I would probably do that because now we keep the king cut off, and we have an immediate attack here. We would have to protect the pawn. Now the king could start, coming out into the game. It looks like it wants this move first to prevent that pawn from moving up the board. But now our king starts running towards the center. We have, the king moving over. Both kings heading towards the pawn. Let's see. King to e7. a4. Now they want us to just start moving this other pawn. And recommended is what? Rook to a6 here. But then we can guard both of them. The king starts moving over here to help with the attack. But now we do that to freeze both of those pawns. Excuse me. So here, rook to a8. King moves up here. King getting ready to attack, but now you can play. It actually likes king to e4 the best here. G3 second best. But yeah, you have these 2 extra pawns, so you should be able to win with these extra pawns. What do they recommend? Rook to b8 here to try and go after this pawn. But then it actually wants a5 here. All right, so if we do that, I don't know if I like that. I mean, can't you just go here and attack both of them? Something like that. Then the rook drops back. The king has to go up here to prevent that pawn from running. What happens if you go here? The king moves up and helps this pawn promote. All right, so now you start pushing the other pawn like this. Rook to e8 check is best. King moving over to f4. Although it says it's better to protect this pawn. So, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I don't know. Here you can go after the pawns on this side. So now we have rook to a8. A6, you just start moving forward, capture. King goes over here and starts picking off these pawns. Now what? King has to come back over to try and, I don't know, do something over here. Although now it's saying rook to a7 to stop the momentum of that pawn. And here, if we capture, I mean, I guess, well, yeah, why wouldn't you just capture that? Yeah, okay, that's the best move. And then, yeah, white would just be winning here. All right. Well, if you watched the entire video, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to leave comments, suggestions, and any requests for future videos. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.